Hello everyone, this is the Wrestling Discussion YouTube channel. So something I wanted to do was occasionally take a match that I don't think gets the historical recognition or respect it deserves and perhaps highlight it for a few minutes. In this match, we have Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Survivor Series 1992. For historical reasons and very justified ones, it's their match at Survivor Series 1997 that gets talked about the most, and for good reason. So much wrestling history stems from that one match, the Montreal Screwjob, that everything else a lot of times gets overlooked. But I want to look at the Survivor Series 92 match. It went a little over 26 minutes. Now, this was Bret Hart's first run as WWE, at the time, WWF champion. He had just recently won it from Ric Flair in a house show match in Saskatoon. The company was switching directions. This was the end of the Golden Era and the beginning of the new generation. The new generation being late 92, 93, going into obviously 97, 98 when Austin era and the Attitude Era began. And this was the very beginning of that new generation. This Survivor Series 1992, I would say historically, is the first pay-per-view of that era. You could argue that it was the last pay-per-view of the WWF Golden Era. That's an interesting discussion, debate for a different time. But this was an interesting pay-per-view, the Survivor Series 1992. A lot of influx, a lot of moving parts that went into this, and as I said, Bret Hart had just won the title, I think barely even a month before, against Ric Flair in Saskatoon. And Shawn Michaels had just become the Intercontinental Champion at the prior week's Saturday night's main event, defeating the British Bulldog. Now, the British Bulldog had become Intercontinental Champion by actually defeating Bret Hart at SummerSlam at Wembley in 92 in that historical main event. So the storyline was Shawn Michaels beat the man who beat Bret Hart, and now he was going to face Bret Hart. Very basic sort of storyline, but I think, it wasn't really a fleshed out storyline, not at all. It was only like a week-long storyline. It wasn't some big build-up feud. It was sort of a thrown-together match. It wasn't a deep storyline, but the match in and of itself was over 26 minutes, and I would suggest going back and watching this match on Peacock. Hopefully the WWE Network, or what it is, still exists when it goes to Netflix. I'm really hoping. But it's a really amazing main event. Over 25 minutes, over 26 minutes actually. Bret Hart wins it with the sharpshooter. Bobby Heenan made everything better. Him and Vince on commentary was great. Obviously, the historical, for history purposes, the all-time great team is always going to be considered Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. And perfectly fair. I understand why people would say that, but Vince McMahon and Bobby the Brain Heenan were right up there with him, in my opinion. He made everything better. Bobby the Brain Heenan did. He could take a bad match and make it entertaining. He could take an all-time classic match like this and put the cherry on top to put it over the top. And if you go back and watch this match between these two, you see just a classic young heel, established veteran babyface match. So crisp, so well put together. You really see Shawn Michaels. I don't know if the term coming into his own is appropriate, because he was always great, he was always really good. But you see the main eventer that Shawn Michaels would become showing himself in this match against Bret. And you see Bret really shine Shawn up and give him a lot of offense and make Shawn really look like a credible threat in this match. It was really well done. But go back and watch this match. Go back and watch the whole pay-per-view. It's one of the great pay-per-views of all time, in my opinion. Survivor Series 1992. Check it out. Check out that match. Bret versus Shawn. And have a sandwich while you're doing it. Thanks, guys.